Sorry, I'm just thinking, is it possible that these are all magical girls that are going to turn into the witches that we saw in season Madoka Magica itself? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and, despite what this says, as before, this is actually Magia record, which is a spin-off or side story or something to Madoka Magica. I got notes about that, obviously. But first off, we typically start with the board, so let's just go ahead and hop into the board. And usually, when I do these, I create a board changelog, but of course, with like the first episode of a show, I don't typically do a board changelog because it's essentially like listing every character in a show sometimes, because some shows introduce you to a lot of people all at once. So, in this case, well, we got Kyobi, we got small Kyobi, because technically somehow this is a difference. I don't know if it's going to be a difference, because it seems like the Kyobis are like almost a hive mind. But assuming for right now that these two might be different. We got the teacher, Iroha, I want to say is how you say her name. If I'm saying it wrong, I'll find out, I'm sure. Kure, the girl she meets on the train. Mom and Dad, of course. Blue-haired girl from... It's not coming off the top of my head, but of course I have a note about it, so we'll come back to that. And the sister, named Ui, which we find out near the end of the episode. The one that the wish was made for. So, that is everybody that I conceivably thought was in episode 1. But yeah, no, as I keep mentioning, I do have notes, so let's go ahead and hop into those notes. So, seems like it'd be real, inconsistent to, sorry, I wrote inconsistent, I know I meant inconvenient. Seems like it'd be real inconvenient to tie your soul gem to your school bag, like Iroha does. The bag gets knocked out of your hands, and all of a sudden, you're comatose and defenseless. At least that's what I think I saw at the very beginning of the episode. Like, it seemed like she tied it to her bag, she's carrying her bag around. But if she was just like pulling it out of her bag, it doesn't matter. It's still just as bad. So we've got a missing person / missing memory situation. Kind of ironic considering how Madoka Magica itself ended. It's not aided in my mind that they are depicting this missing girl in the Kingdom Hearts style, as now that you're sorry, my mind blanked mid-sentence. That's just where my mind's going with that. It clearly isn't just missing memories, though. There is some impetus to her actions, as I highly doubt you just leave half of your room untouched and not think about it. The parents' last-minute trip and not showing us their faces makes for a highly suspicious combo of events. Are we not in Japan? The teacher calls the galaxy the Milky Way, and then goes on to tell us what it's called in Japan. Not something you do in conversation, but certainly something I'd imagine hearing in an anime, being in a place and just being exposition told stuff about the place that you are. Interestingly, though, they did go on to say God's Chain and Path of the Soul, which do feel like hints for later. Iroha and Kyobi's conversation seems to imply that part of her wish was to forget the wish itself, but the element that this comes out after the main series, where the wish had nothing to do with forgetting, but forgetting was a side effect of the wish, would seem to imply the possibility that the same may be at play here. I mean, unless it's something like Iroha was causing this girl pain, and the wish was to remove that pain and have them forget each other. Really, as much as I'll theorize around it, can't eliminate the possibility that this is exactly what it seems to be. Another oddity in translation, when the teacher asks if Iroha's parents leaving on their trip was hard for her, in Japanese she says, "Yes, that's right." But in English, he says, "Not really. I'm okay." Sometimes when they say the exact opposite thing in translation, just throws me a little bit. Especially because, I'm hearing it in English, and in the subtitles, I'm reading them say the opposite thing. The school certainly is filled with posters and signs about working together. Again, I don't know if it means anything, just indicating here, in case it's a thought that pops up later, that I'll help. Can look back and see that there was a note about. In Kamihama City, magical girls can be saved. The witch text on the train was an oddity, as it seems like it's not the text a witch would have. The only good witch is a dead witch. I mean, unless the witch was a dedicated magical girl that's also still hunting other witches, I suppose there isn't anything saying that it can't happen. Iroha questions if she's in a moving labyrinth. I suppose before, labyrinths were portals to isolated locations, but if the labyrinth is just the space around a witch, then I guess there's no reason one couldn't move. Especially if the witch was attached to something in motion, like the train. So maybe there is something special about this train. So the other mystery missing girl was sick in the hospital. Looked like a hospital bed with a desk and chair off to the side. She also had a teddy bear. Just making a note of that because I could have sworn that Iroha woke up with a teddy bear, so could be connected. And, of course, here I've written a future edit. I was wrong. She has a bunny rabbit. Magical girls being territorial tracks with what seemed to be implied in the original show. Just that our main cast were all new, and Mammy was the exception to the rule. I'd imagine most magical girls would be as hostile as Sakura when she invaded, as I imagine she would be defending her own territory. I'm gonna go there and be saved before they find out I'm not saving them anymore. Before I have to sacrifice my life for everyone. I assume they would mean their friends finding out and fighting to the death. That would also imply these girls know the life cycle of magical girls to witches. The opening narration seemed to imply that magical girls were a rumor that people knew, unless that was a conversation between Iroha and the missing girl, still running from someone and obligations. Also, the dream sequence showed a ton of rats running the opposite direction that the girls were going in. Masses of fleeing rats tends to portend a worse threat coming from that direction. Alright, mystery solved all in one episode. Missing girl is Yui, and Iroha used her wish to cure her of a disease. At the same time, doesn't seem to have had anything to do with the missing memory. So, maybe whatever is going on in Kamihama, is what caused the missing memory. People that go there cease to exist to others. I guess blue-haired girl, might know about that, or she might be the last remaining victim. The wish scene had numerous signs and whatnot as background elements, so I just decided to write those down. Go out with him, win the lottery, cure the illness, revenge, courage to confess, get my family back, to make up with her, to connect hearts, money. I want to become someone else. I don't want us to hate each other ever again. I want to become the one that destroys Kamihama. That seems like a big one. I want to survive. I want a studio where no one can disturb me. I want to know why everyone hates Daito. I don't know who Daito is, so that's also one that kind of stands out. There's like a whole cast of characters in the ending credits, least of which are our five main magical girls all together. And by which I mean, when I say main story, I mean Madoka Magica. Making me think this is just one of Akemi's failed timelines. The fact there are witches would seem to imply that this isn't before the end of Madoka Magica. That Sakura is alive would also seem to imply that. But place it in a specific time frame. The same goes for Mammy, of course, her being alive. I don't know. It's harder to tell based on her due to how Madoka Magica ends, but again, witches, so can't be there either. And my last note, just a hypothetical, but it would be an interesting story to say that Akemi and Madoka's happy ending wouldn't automatically mean a happy ending for everyone else. Say these characters struggle through, and this turns out to be one of Akemi's failed timelines, and we get set back to a time where these girls fail. Would be a real point of view problem. The person that you were following tends to matter more for the narrative and all that. You know, that's where plot armor comes from, essentially. The story wouldn't continue to happen if the main character you're watching died or something, right? So they get plot armor while they are the main character. So if these characters are part of an Akemi failed timeline, then they might get plot armor, but they might not get a happy ending. Anyway, as I said, that was my final note, so nothing left to do here but to hop on into episode 2 and see where we go from here.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Thought that was going to be an opening sequence for a second. Oh, she had, like, dead eyes. I'm sure there's probably going to be a way that I can see what the other names were on that sign. Okay, so clearly a little sister situation. And QB. Kind of feels like she was in a labyrinth when she made the wish. Was it Kemi or Mei that said that witches tend to make labyrinths in hospitals and the like? Sorry, I realized I just like talked over her thing, but you know, essentially her thing is how could I forget something so important, which is, you know, understandable. And I think I labeled this as the ending song very clearly. A lot of episode 1s tend to like to play their opening as the ending. So, I guess I should have called that. And again, apologies, I do have to talk over every opening, because the openings and the endings tend to be the most copyrighted materials of all. I did mention the fact that somewhere in this sequence there's going to be our 5 main girls. There they were, from the main series. I don't know explicitly why they would be shown here, unless we're going to get some sort of crossover. I wouldn't anticipate seeing a crossover until, like, the very end of this. Because, I don't know, there's some sort of spoiling factor to the element of showing us the other characters and then not having them around all the time. But they can't be around all the time because we didn't see these people in the main show, right? So for that, I feel like there has to be like an end reveal sort of thing.
妹の病気を治すこと。それが自分の願いだと君は思い出したって言うんだね。
Could be that she
これは純粋な興味からの質問なんだけれど、玉木結衣って一体誰だい？
could be that her sister became a magical girl, then became a witch, and then she had to kill her sister witch.
ある個体の存在の痕跡を全て消し去るには、魔法少女の願いにも匹敵する大きな力が必要だ。そこまでして玉木結衣の存在を消し去る理由がどこにあるって言うんだい？それよりは妹がいたという偽の記憶を君に植え付ける方がずっとたやすいだろうね。
I don't know why that would be far easier. Seems like it would be exactly as hard.
私の心に空いていた場所がウイそのものの形なの。夢の中に出てきた病院、調べてみたら上浜市に実際にある場所だったの。病院に行けばウイの手がかりが見つかるかもしれない。それに上浜市には小さいキューベイがいて。あ、ねえ、キューベイは上浜市のキューベイとも知り合いなの？子供のキューベイなの。子供の形をした個体？そんなものはないはずだけど。
Again, the thing that I said back in Madoka Magica, where there could be variant Kyobi, thought it'd be interesting. So if that's what we're gonna get, that'd be cool. Okay, the same one from the train, right? Thought we defeated that one. I'm sorry, did you think this is a normal bus stop? Okay, it seems like we have a theme of moving witches, because this one's labyrinth is on the back of a motorcycle. Rebecca. Isn't that a name that Henry told me in one of the comments before? From Madoka Magica, I mean. So if she wasn't on the bus, is she just someone else, or this is a multi-connected labyrinth? Okay, this is gonna be a show with so many more characters than the last one. Of course, I figured that one out from the opening. I'm not surprised, it's just... Y'all know my history of being able to remember characters' names. I guess the surprising thing here is the activity of forming a group. Seems so much harder to do in Madoka. And the girl from Kamihama seemed to be, you know, very territorial as well.
言っても上浜市の外から来たなら知らないか。魔法少女向けの病院というか相談所というか。
Oh, right. Because the other girl's from Kamihama West. And this is Kamihama Direct?
助けてくれてありがとうございました。一緒にいた人たちは。
おお、もう全員目を覚まして帰っていったんじゃないかな。見慣れない制服だけど、君はどこから来たの？
宝崎です。上浜の魔女は他より強いって知らないの？のこのこ結界に入ってきたりしてさ。
あんま気にしなくていいよ。あれで一応心配してるだ
I
け
guess
だよ。
technically the labyrinth pulled her into it.
何か飲む？落ち着いたら駅まで送ってくよ。また帰り道で襲われてもまずいしね。
上浜って
Which is also weird, I guess, technically, because typically
そうだ
you
ね。
wander into labyrinths, you don't get pulled into labyrinths, right?
昔はこんなじゃなかったと思うんだけどね。
私行かなくちゃいけないんです。里見メディカルセンターっていうところに。
病院？誰か入院してるの？
それが今もいるかはわからなくて。
Satomi sounds familiar.
そこに入院していたは
I
ず
think
なん
that's
です。
just a common Japanese name, at least in anime.
私の妹が。はず？それで私、消えてしまった妹を探しに上浜市まで来たんです。私にはやっぱり本当に妹がいたようにしか思えなくて。何よそれ、そんなこと信じろっての？やっぱり信じられないですよね。
Wait, you think she's trying to trick you?
わかった。そんならまずはその里見メディカルセンターだな。
は？桃子？
ま、これも何かの縁だし、妹探し手伝ってあげる。魔法少女は助け合いってね。
いいんですか？いいわけないでしょ。レナたちの調査はどうなるのよ。1週間。
Also, you think our blue-haired girl knows about these people?
今日はお休みでもいいんじゃないかな。はあ？
そうそう。もともとはうさんくさい噂話だしな。
もう他の魔法少女が倒しちゃったのかも。だいたい鎖の魔女の噂なんてレナちゃんが一番信じてなかったでしょ。
Chain Witch.
それは。
God's Chain. Episode 1,
鎖の
Teacher.
魔女って聞いたことある？
いいえ。レナたち、その魔女を追ってるの。その子の用事って魔女探しよりも優先することなの？
ちょっと手伝うだけだろ。
私は別に大丈夫です。こんなにお世話になって、まさか妹のことまで。気にしなくていいよ。同じ魔法少女の仲間だもん。私は秋の楓だよ。
とがめ桃子。
レナちゃん。
It's real helpful for my board when they all just identify themselves. Full names and all.
この新生区でチームで活動してる魔法少女なんだ。玉木いろはです。いろはちゃんだね。よろしく、いろはち
ゃん。え、じゃあ入れなかったの？
はい、玉木
Okay, the robot angle seems a bit odd.
って言われちゃって。
昔入院してたってのはダメなの？
それが調べてくれたんですけど、過去にも入院していた記録はないって。
I mean, if memory of her, like, down to pictures and everything, has been wiped from existence, then I wouldn't suspect.
本当に消えちゃったんだって。やばい。
席取れたわよ。桃子たちには場所取りしてもらってる。
桃子さんですよね。
I can't tell if they're supposed to be robots or if they're just, like, advertising things.
あれ？
Is she seeing different girls as different people?
よっ。
レナちゃん、また桃子ちゃんに変身してたでしょ。してないわよ。嘘。さっき見たもん。
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought our main character was going insane.
き合ってもらったのにすみません。なんとかして入院病棟に入る方法を
I feel like that icon on the bottom left is a witch that we saw in the main show.
レナはやらないからね。
Less so now that it's up top.
イロハちゃん困ってるんだから。
レナちゃんは変身する魔法が使えるんだ。さっきイロハちゃんも見たでしょ。あれってやっぱり
看護師さんに変身すれば病棟にも侵入できるよな。
簡単に言わないでよ。他の人になりすま
Sorry, I'm just thinking, is it possible that these are all magical girls that are going to turn into the witches that we saw in season Madoka Magica itself?
どうでもいい時っていつのことよ。さっきとか。あんた喧嘩売ってんの？イロハちゃんはウイちゃんを探しにわざわざ上浜市まで来たんだよ。
I mean, that would be
本当に
depressing.
いるよ。イロハちゃんはウイちゃんのために魔法少女になったんだよ。間違えるわけないよ。他人の願い事なんてわかんないわよ。レナちゃんいつも勝手なことばっか言ってさ。せっかく魔法少女なのに自分のことばっか。
そんなことないよ。レナだって。
何よそれ。楓だって家庭菜園を守りたいとかどうでもいい願いで魔法少女になったくせに。どうでもいい願いって何？家庭菜園がどうでもよくなくて何が？どうでもよくなんかないよ。お父さんとお母さんとペロちゃんとハッちゃんとトンちゃんと家族の大切な家庭菜園。
I mean, I was obviously gonna launch on this whole thing about judging other people's wishes.
別に楓の家族がどうとか言ってないじゃん。それにペロとかキモい爬虫類まで並べられて。
But legitimately, that's literally what I did during Madoka Magica,
そん
so.
なだからレナちゃんクラスの友達できないんだよ。そんなこと楓には関係ないでしょ。そうだね。私にはもう関係ない。レナちゃんとは絶好だよ。
楓。お前らこれで何回目の絶好だよ。レナもちょっと言い過ぎだぞ。
分かってるわよ。
あんまり絶好言ってると
I keep thinking
化け物がさらいに来る
that
ぞ。
the background holograms are turning into like witch stuff. But I think they're just like really bad advertisements.
やっちゃったかも。イロハちゃんごめんね。びっくりさせちゃったよね。
そんな私のせいで。
いや喧嘩はほんとしょっちゅうだから。イロハちゃんのせいじゃないよ。それに今回は私がとどめさしちゃったようなもんだし。
So I guess red, blue, and yellow is just a common hair color for groups of girls in
イロハちゃ
anime.
んの学校にはさ、絶好階段の噂ってある？
もしもし聞いた？絶好階段のその噂。上浜市立大学附属学校中等部東棟の北側4階から屋上へ続く階
Yes, this
段
is also another common thing in this, not common thing, running theme in this anime. Rumors.
未来永劫ずっと交際を立つことが認められるの。もしも仮に万が一仲直りなんてしようものなら謝った方が鎖の化け物にさらわれちゃう。絶好階段に閉じ込められて無限の階段掃除をさせられちゃうって生徒の間じゃもっぱらの噂。
Well, I mean, you got the rumor of the chain monster, and you've got a chain witch that you're trying to chase down.
3人が行方不明になってるんだ。
3人も？それじゃ噂が本当に？
I mean, it was our blue-haired girl. I guess indicating she's around. Did that say Madoka?
まだ家にも帰ってないってさ。まったくあいつどこに行ったんだ。
Looks like she went to a labyrinth
わざわざ来てもらって
connected to her own house.
レナさん大丈夫なんでしょうか。あのね、私昨日レナちゃんの家に謝りに行ったの。楓さんがレナさんに。
I mean, conceivably, if there was a time travel element to what Madoka was doing,
何？レナちゃん！レナちゃんだよね？何のこと？私にはさ。
would that imply that Reina was about to turn into a witch, and then Madoka came to her and prevented her from becoming a witch? No, never mind. She's just Reina. Never mind. I'm probably doing that thing where I've read one thing incorrectly and then the whole episode's going to be messed up in my mind for it.
なんかよ、なんで逃げるの？モカウサギのマスコット。絶交なんて嘘じゃない。逃がさないんだから。昨日だって私謝ったよね。足りなかったらまだ謝るよ。仲直りできるまで何度だって。話して。話さない。レナちゃんが許してくれるまで話さないから。レナちゃんごめんね。レナちゃんのこと怒らせてばっかで。でも私絶対レナちゃんの
Interpersonal interactions are always so very confusing.
レナちゃんに嫌われたって私レナちゃんと仲直りするもん。
友達？おかしい。絶交したよね。確かにしたよね。
I guess it's kind of funny that the chain witch you've been hunting down, you just accidentally run into.
せっかく絶交してやったのに。友達のふりして好き勝手なことばっか言いやがって。あいつのせいで文句ばっか言わされる。
Is the idea that Reina is the only one that can see this?
違うの。
あいつがすぐ謝っちゃう。
やめて。
レナが謝れないのは楓のせい。
そんなこと思ってない。
Is she on her way to becoming a witch? Is that what's happening?
友達？
戻らない。
I guess so. Why was that in your house? Probably some really important stuff there underneath the name of the episode. Sorry. Again, the element that I'm gonna have to talk over the ending credits. Which are... Wait. Did we see the opening credits the first time? Because this... Never mind. Okay, I was thinking this looked really familiar, but it doesn't. Although I don't know what I'm going to be able to pull from this. I read the opening lyrics when we saw them last time. But unlike when I read the opening lyrics to the first season, I keep calling it the first season, to Madoka Magica, there wasn't like a lot that I pulled out of that. And again, it's hard to pull stuff from episode 1, typically. Madoka Magica was just like the odd man out, where I was just like super reading into everything. And appreciably, there was more to episode 1's opening once you got to like episode 10 to then really pull out of. But at the same time, this show, not so much. That said, though, there are a lot of like split-second scenes in the opening and here in the ending. Like I saw a birthday cake there for a second that I feel like is going to have context, not in the now, but certainly in the later. And that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. Okay, I guess we're going to keep this going. Yeah. No, I guess the confusing factor for me is that witches are always kind of hard for me to understand in this show. And now it seems like we're getting witches that can target specific people. We're getting witches that can move like their labyrinth around, which is just, I mean, there's not like a confusing factor in this is so different from the other thing that I can't seem to follow it, but confusing in the factor of essentially having to reestablish the whole witch thing for this new show. The element that now we have witches that can target you specifically and other people can't see that happening could mean that we could do scenes where, essentially anything could be happening, right? Granted, this is also a show that lacks a certain amount of subtlety to the degree of people will just start shouting out into the air and like, oh no, get away from me. Like, if that kind of thing was happening. If we were seeing this from Kade's perspective, Reina would just be freaking out, and I think we'd all be able to figure out what was going on there based on that. That said, though, certainly is an interesting way to reframe the witches by codifying them as school rumors and whatnot. At the same time, I guess if you can't see the witch and you don't understand what is there, you can't really fight it to then save the other one. My worry is that Reina is becoming a witch. That this isn't so much a witch appearing to her as it is a witch becoming her. Yeah, I think you know what I'm saying. Either way, though, yeah, I think it's just going to be me rewatching to pick up what may have been missed at the beginning of the episode, because again, we did get introduced to essentially a whole new group of people. And my worry is that this is just going to be a group that becomes a number of witches that our main girls had to fight at the beginning of their show. And that this is all where that comes from. Essentially, we've been introduced to a group that we're being set up to fail. That said, though, that is my thoughts about this episode. So once again, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?